Oh man. Well, all right. I guess I'm just gonna rip into it.
Rip it away.
Welcome to Geek Speak episode 10. I mean, we have none other than the man himself, is it the Bronson or Bronson? Like how is that appropriately to address you?
Just Bronson. I'm
Bronson.
just a normal guy, man. Just love flesh and blood. Love talking about it. Thanks for having me on too. I mean, I've been listening to the podcast the last few months, and it's been really good stuff.
Well, thank you. I did a soft reset in my life where I decided that if I couldn't do something fun, I needed to self-address, and that's my idea was to do a once a week podcast like this, so that I could one talk to people that I want to talk to anyways, and obviously then at that point that's content, and then I can circle back and start making the more edited stuff, which is very hard to produce.
Yeah, no, it's a good amount of time, especially if you go into the details of editing every little thingamabob and putting all the gizmos and gadgets around. It's nice though. I remember when I was doing a podcast like 3 years ago, and I was talking to different people in the flesh and blood community, and it was notably interesting how different each person is. Just the personality types, the life experiences. It's interesting to just delve in and talk to people for a couple hours and hear their perspective on things. It's really eye opening.
I would agree, and really, I mean, going back and let's just call that 3 year mark, right? I believe you probably were in Fab even before I was, if I recall. Like you, I think you were like almost at the doorstep of beginning kind of a thing. And from that perspective, some people, some of the content creators that were around, I don't really see in the ecosystem much anymore. But new ones have cropped up, and some other various people have kind of come and gone. But it's interesting to see the dichotomy change across the timeline, right? Like I've even seen some go, and obviously with Tall Timmy coming back, welcome Tall Timmy. So welcome back to the
Oh, I'm
club.
so happy
You know,
about that. I can't
I
wait to see more of his videos.
I
That
just
guy is a legend. Just oh man, just and I remember you guys were talking about it in your last podcast. Like the bubble bath videos were when I just really fell in love with Paul. Like that was
that was
so
peak entertainment
good.
level right there. That was
Yeah, that
peak.
was just like that's like the high tier content right there. I met him in person actually in Worlds like a couple of years ago, and it was interesting because if you meet me in person, you're probably gonna be like, "Whoa, Bronson's like really quiet. What's up with this? Like maybe he's having a bad day." I'm not like Bronson esque because when you make video content, you have to be animated and stuff, or else it's boring as fuck. So, but Paul is how he is in the Tall Timmy YouTube channel. He's like the exact same energy level and everything in real life. So it was really, and it's cool to see that because I don't know. Are you the same as you are from your channel?
I would say I would go with a 90%. I'm very talkative. I will if I accidentally start, I could talk somebody's ear off for hours, and it's not I think because I try, but like it's just I'm a very excited like when I talk about something I love or enjoy, whether that's IT, whether that's trading cards, board games, just geeky stuff in general. I can totally just I get deep into it, like especially in technology. I work in IT for a day job, so like if somebody's talking about a technology or something, like I'll try to get all nuts and bolts with it, and then sometimes I have to rein myself in because I'll just be like, oh, giddy school kid, let's go, let's get this done, and it's like, yeah, I need to probably rein myself back a little on that.
Yeah, and different temperaments. And it's interesting when you're a content creator because there's like there's a middle ground. It's like how faithful do you are you to your own personality versus a circus clown? Like there's a middle ground between like being entertaining and being like this and do it like this and just being yourself and it's this I think a dichotomy is a good word to describe really what that is. It's an interesting what do you journey along the way to really find that.
So when's the last? I know we've kind of off and on we talk in Discord, and
Yeah.
For those that may or may not know, Discord is a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. It's a blessing because you get to talk with people all over the world, but it's a curse because there's
Yes.
so many damned individual Discord servers that you kind of have to be a part of to sometimes find people, or like it's an ecosystem thing where they'll only talk about finances in, as an example, one of two of the servers that I'm in, but then they'll talk about Clash and Commoner in another server, and then maybe there's local stuff if I want to learn about things happening in my geographic location. So it gets this weird, I don't want to say echo chambery thing because I do not want to necessarily go down that whole rabbit hole, but like when you don't get in there very often, or when you're talking around, like there's a content creator Discord as an example. Like I was asking just
Mhm.
today, like, is anybody, I know I post in there quite often, but like I don't see a lot of other people active in there, so I don't really know if it's a kind of a dead location. But to circle back on why I asked last time we talked was, things change very rapidly in this world. Obviously new sets come out, new things happen, personal lives with personal people. It's kind of interesting to see that, again, back to the word dichotomy. My favorite word apparently for the day is dichotomy. Just the slice of
Word of the day.
everything. Yeah, just everything in general and how it stacks up. Like Gen Con, right? That Gen Con, really re-energized me from maybe a lull in where I was at with things I had. So what maybe in your ecosystem or your world has re-energized you?
To be honest, man, I love Flesh and Blood, but currently it's just I don't have a lot of time. This year I haven't had much time to like do anything with the game, like go to a lot of events, go to locals, and I think a video that I've been thinking about that's related to this topic is that you don't have to have that much time to love a game and be interested in it. I've seen different people in the past say, "Well, I don't have time because of work, life event, what have you." So they just sell their whole collection, they're out, and they're off. And but even if you have like the most minimal amount of time, like you can still, keep up with the Discord conversations, look at the FAPTCG site, watch YouTube videos. Like I've been doing a lot of that really this year. Haven't really been able to interact with the game in the ways I wanted to, but still keeping up with stuff, still enjoying it. And it's just great to see that the game is just going extremely strong. Like, I mean, back in the day, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago when I got into it, it was just like very very small community and everything. Now it's massive, and the player base I feel like is an iceberg. Like you look on the internet and the YouTube channels, and it doesn't look like the game is really booming, but it really is. So I think that's a long drawn out way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the new set Rosetta and everything looks I'm excited, but I just haven't had enough time like to really get into the things I want to.
Yeah, you just hit a bunch of things on the head that I obviously love to dive into. Like in general, the internet I think is both again a blessing and a curse, a bane. It's a pain in my side. It's the known evil. You have to use it, right? Like it's unreal to me that the quantity of people that exist like certain things. And again, no fault of my own, no fault of yours, no fault of anybody, right? But somebody recently did a poll on Twitter that was like, type in your favorite content creator, and I saw it a couple days later, or whatever. And looking through there, you have the big name folks, and then like at a certain point, I'm like, there are people I listen to that were not mentioned on this list. So it's like, not that they're not important, right? But the people that were willing to take the time, the energy, and the effort to log into their account, read that thing, reply to it, know the name, know how to tag them, put it up there, and spend that energy to tag a content creator was a small percentage of the percentage of the grander scope. So back to your iceberg analogy, right? Looking at what was available at Gen Con, and I'm obviously a fanboy. Anybody who has at least noticed this
We are both fanboys.
in the slightest, right? Like I bought every available product that was there: the Azalea deck, the first strike decks, which we'll come back to that. I know you had a question on that earlier. Um,
Yeah.
you know, the play space and the interview I got to do with Alex was amazing in a lot of regard because it opened my eyes to they truly have a strategy. The game does. And listening to the Flesh and Pod broadcast where they brought him on and hearing that other bigwigs, so to speak, or at least one other bigwig from another game was checking out their booth saying, where did you get that stuff from, right? Like that to me hits home in a different capacity because I saw it from the outside. You know,
What
as
do you
a
mean get that stuff from? Like, where did you get that stuff from? Who
so
said
yeah,
that?
so anecdotally from the Flesh and Pod broadcast where they were talking about
Mhm.
it, it sounds like Alex alluded to a individual that was from another game manufacturer was basically checking their booth out, like essentially as a vendor, you know, walking up and saying, "Oh damn, what is oh man, look how good this shit is," like you know that kind of like under you know not that he was trying to be like coy or undercover, but it sounds like this individual was not necessarily wanting to talk to the people, but wanting to gather as much information because, frankly,
Somebody like
there's
flying around.
no way to prove this other than the fact that you just have to listen to the people that were there. But their booth was fucking packed. It was all day, every day. There were people playing, there were people demoing, there were people in lines. Like when you looked at other I don't even want to name specific. I know people that were working for other branded booths there, so I will omit the names on purpose. But they
MetaZoo?
they didn't.
No.
No, no, they were donezo. But like you know, there was a dedicated sorcerer group. There was there right. There was a dedicated. Let's see here, Grand Archive group. I saw there was a
Altered,
dedicated altered TCG group.
oh,
You
Star Wars
know,
Unlimited,
Star Wars Unlimited, Bandai. You know, obviously it's every game,
Okami.
including like old dead games. There was people that were going there to play Star Wars customizable card game. People that were going there to play, you know, Mage Knight as an example. I know because I'm in several of those groups. Like I know that there were people at least trying to meet up to do that. But all that's to say is that other booths were not as busy and did not have lines, and their IPs that they were using are established. They were around, and they were much bigger presence and area, and they seemed much more sparse. So
Wow.
it's nothing bad on them, right? But at the same time, it's amazing to see the power that was there with what they were able to get. Based on my understanding that they wanted a lot more, and Gen Con, because they were first timers, said you get this circle, you will live in your little bubble, because that's basically how Gen Con works. Is it you know as an
There's
example? Oh, go ahead.
there are no free cookies, right? Like it's not like they were giving out free promos to get like a bunch of people in their booths because that's something that's misleading too. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, the booths were sold out," but if you're giving away free stuff, oh man, that looks epic.
$95.
Wait, did you have
95.
95?
$95.
Wow. Is that a Stanley mug?
It is.
Wow.
And
That is
then
a beautiful design.
I bought one of these. That was, I
Yo,
think,
nice.
60, 65, forget, 50, 50, 65. I bundled it with these to be able to buy a Blaze promo. So that was one of them.
It is about time that they put out merch.
Yeah, and I think they're doing shirts now from the sound of it. Or I've somewhere along the lines, I seen an official and it was like a Tall Timmy reveal video. I think he pulled out a shirt and in the logo section, like on the back, it said
Mhm.
LSS. So I'm assuming they officially have shirts now from the sound of it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I would just like to get a like bunch of like 5 shirts that say Flesh and Blood, like Flesh and Blood logo or something, just a basic shirt would be nice. But yeah, going to the Gen Con, that's great to hear that the booth was packed. I mean, I feel like LSS when they do stuff, and I think the reason why they didn't go to Gen Con last year and they got a lot of flack for it is they said, "Hey, when we go, we want to do it right." And it seems like they really pulled out all the stops. And whenever they do anything, it seems like they do everything to the best that they can. They don't like half-ass anything, which is really good, especially as a consumer of the product. You're not getting any, crap.
Which is why I guess I'm gonna have to wait on my PVE for a while.
Yeah, right.
But
There
you know
There'll be
that's
10 years of reinforced rule set and everything like that. It's gonna be big, I bet.
you only get one. I mean, you're right. You only get one chance for first impression, and if it's not right, and then first impression. Let's screw it. Let's just lead right into first impression, first strike deck.
Yeah, let's go to that. So,
So
like, what do you think? So I made a video recently, and here's my question to you.
okay,
Like, it looks like the demographic that they're pushing towards is a lower age range. And I've been saying for like the last year and a half, I think they should market towards more of the 16 to 18-year-old age range, the high schools, because they don't have that market at all, really. I mean, there's a lot of the market that they have is 25 to 30-year-olds. Like that's the primary group, I believe. So this, it seems like it's going under that. I think that box. appeals more to like 14 range and stuff.
It does
What are your
say
thoughts on the
16
demographics?
plus. I was looking for the. That's why I was looking at the
It
bottom.
does.
They did put an age 16 plus
They did.
on the side, and I don't know if that's for some sort of EU type thing or whatever. But I
But
believe
it's pastel colors.
what
Oh, like the color scheme is like pastel. And if you look at First Strike, like the logo, the banner, it looks a little bit. It doesn't. That does not look like 16 marketing. And this could be me. I'm being a little bit pickety here, but it does seem like they're catering to a younger demographic. I like that. I think that that is a smart play. But I think this product, I don't know if it hit the nail on the head. What about you? What do you think? And did people at Gen Con really like take to it, you think?
I mean the statistic that was touted was they sold. I think they said one every 2 minutes for the entirety of the time Gen Con was open. Now there's two metrics you
Wow.
can go by. You can go by the hall hours that are in the Gen Con, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., except for the last day, which is a little bit less. And you can multiply that and go by every 2 minutes. Or because they had a booth in the other one, right, you could say that they sold one every 2 minutes based on the fact that that was open essentially 24 hours a day, plus or minus the end when they kick everybody out at 6. So there's two metrics here to where those numbers can go vastly up. And the profit on just that alone, in my eyes, based on understanding the general costs of booths for Gen Con, because back in the day I tried to get in there, and I know that the general 10 by 10 booth on average used to be about like $2,500, 3,000 or whatever, but that's just an inline vendor booth, right? But now those
Mhm.
prices are going up to like 4 grand, 5 grand, stuff like that. And then when you start getting bigger space, right, 20 by 20, 30 by 30, you're paying 5 grand for every 10 by 10 plot of land. Then you got banners and you got advertising, coupon books, things like there's, he's kind of talked a little bit about some of this, but like those things all add up. So the amount of money that they were in there for was not a small sum of money. I guarantee it. So the fact that they
Yeah.
were selling this, the fact that I and other people were buying shit like this, $95 here and there, I mean, that stuff adds up, right? So I would imagine they came out very much in the green if I had to take a wild guess. But that's not really the question in regard to this. But the reason it ties into this is I think these do target a different audience. The Aurora specifically, I think leans more to an anime esque crowd
Yeah.
audience because it does have an anime esque style of I don't want to say cartoonish face because I do not want to belittle the artist and say that I feel it's there, but it is not the gory looking, let's say more adult esque style. Like these are kind of tier mid tier not being playability, but mid tier like art
Yeah, more
wise, where it's
animated.
more
Yeah.
appealing to. Let's say you have a very religious person. Somebody who's very religious would have no quarrels with this. Let's say you had somebody that's very specific about maybe nature or no technology, right? This might apply to them, right? It seemingly weirdly hits a lot of different demographics that I wouldn't have initially thought it could have hit. As for the fonting that you typed out, I'm a fan of it. Although you have to understand the lightning bolt is an I. So when I first read this, it's 1ST, which because Geeks First, I did a lot of iterations of 1ST. So this is me looking at this very literally from a first from the logoing
Big
I had
way.
to go through. But like the 1ST makes sense. There's a lot of kind of diagonal lines to it that kind of have this like 45. And then the strike, why it has a lightning on both, I'm not really sure, unless that was just a corny, cheesy, lay into the fact one of them is lightning. But then I kind of figured maybe one would be a lightning and one would be a tree, just as kind of a haha, but they didn't. Um, you know, but these products, I have yet to be able to. I'm working on a video, and I'm going to work on it this weekend because I'm going to a convention and I get time to play with some people. Um, but I'm going to try and actually take these decks against themselves. So I have two copies of each. Um, I'm going to take an Aurora into an Aurora, a Terra into a Terra, and then the Terra into Aurora, like I've seen other people try. And then I want to take those decks and then position them against existing Blitz decks because that is the piece that still seemed
That
fuzzy
would
to
be
me.
interesting.
And I did ask Alex a little bit about that, and it does look like the direction they are going is these are your like Ira's here, First Strike is right above that, Blitz is right above there, and then
Power level?
they want CC to go no like a stepping ladder to get into the
Oh,
game.
stepping ladder. Okay.
I don't yeah I'm not in my opinion I'm not qualified to talk about the power level of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like every character has its own power curve, But I'm also not trying to min max every game. I'm more of the casual have fun. But like hearing
But
people,
I know what you're talking about. Like, basically, if you play any of these, video games, they first start you with, like, a really, really basic thing, and then they add more and more and more.
correct,
So,
correct. And I think
Ira
that
is
that's
on
the
here, like, the first thing, and then you get your first strike after that, which integrates things, and then it gets more complicated, and then you get the blitz decks. That makes sense.
I've shuffled and played these, just solo play, and there is not a single time I have been able to generate a hand of 4 cards that is a dead play. Granted,
Wow,
the
that's
game
great.
of Flesh and Blood in general is typically not a dead play kind of game, but
Yeah,
it feels really good when you look at what you can do with that. And as a first player experience, if I looked at this like this is my first experience coming into Flesh and Blood, that is much more satisfying than when I went back to play a game of Commander and I sat there in the first 10 turns of my sliver deck were land pass, land
yeah,
pass, land pass, play a sliver, land pass. And it's like, it was interactive in my head, like, okay, I know they're coming at me even though I don't have a card. So I'm going to block this, block this. I'm going to arsenal that, or whatever. So I would take my turn, I would block with these, and I know that by the time it would get back, I would be able to cycle through. And it really had this kind of cadence to it that felt, I would say, I like mechanologists as a class. I think most people know that have kind of watched my channel. It felt very much like there was it's like an auto boost. It's an always go again kind of a thing. Now the decks play very different. Terra doesn't have a lot of go agains, but
you didn't
you'll
have that many, like, decisions, right? Like, meaningful decisions. It was just like, "I have a land. I
once
played the land.
once the
I have a
engine gets
setter."
going, you just play with the engine, and it gets you very comfortable very quickly. I think that's
Yeah,
the goal. With First Strike or with
yeah,
the Flesh and Blood intro. And then you branch off and pick your blitz decks. You pick your crack shuffle play. In the case of if you like mechanologist, go mech. You should play mech. It's really fun. Um, I think that there will be there's a lot of I mean they're releasing. They're kind of I don't okay. So how do I say this? Because it sounds bad. They're not magifying the product line. They're not doing booster
so they're
play
just dumbing it
collector.
down a bit.
Say that
They're
again.
dumbing it down a bit, which is good, right?
They are, yeah, and I think they're putting
I'm
the
just saying
products
it
in the
how it is.
right places.
Yeah. Well, because if you think about it, if you're a brand new player, man, and you're playing, what is it, a chain deck or a prism? Yeah, like that, even a KO, like it has a bunch of things to it. You need products that have just basic stuff to it that's easy to learn.
And seeing that on a shelf and seeing this on a shelf, now the game store, the LGS, which has been I don't want to say a constant complaint of my LGS, but it has been hard for the community here in Indianapolis. I am kind of out of touch with, but I kind of purposely backed away from it, not because I wanted to, but because to pick and choose your battles, I had to kind of sacrifice one thing, and that was me going to live events. Because if I try to make content, I try to do research, do other things, I can only spend so much time doing stuff. Now, I still try to make the
Yeah,
pre-releases, but I've noticed that every time I go, it's the same couple of decks that are there. It's the same boxes that are there. There's not people aren't locally buying the individual packs as much, right? But when a new set comes, like those get on the shelf and they go, I see that day, like they go out the door. But a lot of people especially in the Fab community, I know several have left for Sorcery. I know several have left for not Grand Archive, for Star Wars Unlimited, and that's mostly they have their personal reasons, right?
yeah,
Some of
yeah,
them don't like the direction of the game. Some don't like I guess the dollar investment that they were putting in versus what they wanted to, right? So I won't necessarily try to dive too deep into their personal decisions, but like they chose to go to other directions, and like I still dabble in other games. Like I am very much a TCG connoisseur of every variety. Like I did a video obviously where I opened one of every type of game that I could get my hands on, but like I I've been playing Sorcery, I've been playing Star Wars Unlimited. I definitely still play Flesh and Blood, but like when I start looking at the games, and I went back to, like I said, Magic briefly, the style of gameplay, or even trying to play Pokemon for God's sakes, because I forgot how to do that and I tried to relearn it. The ability for me to just basically mind-numbingly pick up Flesh and Blood and be able to play it, probably because it's been beaten into my head over the last 4 years because I've played it so much. the game is fun, but like when I picked up Magic, I was like, oh, my turn's over with. Oh, I can't do this. And then like Star Wars Unlimited, it's also very interactive, which is why I think it is, in my opinion, positioned to be one of the heavier competitions to Flesh and Blood because the IP is strong and the gameplay mechanics are pretty good.
I
Sorcery, on the
think
other hand, I oh go
the
ahead.
problem with Star Wars Unlimited though is
Asmodee.
it is IP driven,
Yep.
and you have Fantasy Flight Games who are producing it. And I'm not saying it's a bad game. I haven't played it. I've heard good things, and I think it takes from other prior versions. But talking about that, it's going to go the way of Star Wars Destiny, which was literally same company, FFG. They produced it for 5 years, and then when things weren't going good, the rug got pulled underneath them, and they just stopped, producing the game. And I feel like we're gonna see the same thing with Star Wars Unlimited. And hey, like, yeah, if people, yeah, like the dice, dude, it was actually a good game. Star Wars Destiny, a good gameplay, but like the Star Wars Unlimited, and I don't mean to hate. I'm just saying how it is. Like when you have licensed IP, you literally have a game with a ticking time bomb on its chest, and it's just a matter of time before FFG, the license just gets yanked out of it. And don't get me wrong, if you want to have fun with the game, have fun with the game. If you want to invest or collect, just know that that is in the background. It literally has a ticking time bomb. For sorcery, I've been very open and honest. Like, and I think a lot of people, even in the sorcery community, agree that you cannot make a mass market game with just one set a year. It just doesn't work. And it's not even just one set a year. Like Arthurian Legends is coming out in November, I think.
Oh, it's
So
already
it's
sold
been,
out everywhere.
is it?
Yeah, I've been based
I
on
mean,
kind of some looking around. I
one
can't
thing
even
that
really
they
find
have,
it.
if they can capture a small percentage of the MTG like old people, I could see it lasting for a little bit, but I don't think internally they can fund their operations with just one set a year. I don't know.
I think that I see where you're coming with that, and I do agree. And I mean, frankly, again, not trying to crap talk the game, but my LGS that had sorcery had the what some of the beta boxes, the second printing, and they had it. We did the sorcery league thing. We played. I had a blast. I played a. It's actually the what's this guy, the Geomancer. I really enjoyed playing the Geomancer for some reason. It spoke to me for the Earth type stuff. Um, but after that, they had no product, no boosters, no packs, no starters, no nothing. And every time I'd ask, they couldn't get it. No distribution, no nothing. It was sold out
That's
everywhere,
crazy.
and it just the players just kind of fart into the wind. They just kind of know where to do because there's nothing to sell. You can't increase your player base if there is no product to sell.
Yeah,
Contrary with like Flesh and Blood, they're releasing stuff every 3 months on a quarter, right? And now they're at releasing additional stuff. With if you looked at that kind of roadmap they came out with, you got the first strike decks, you got the armory decks. I don't think we're going to see a UPF product this year, from kind of my gathering, which kind of stinks. But that's because I really want a UPF product. But um, I think their focus is elsewhere. So from that,
yeah,
they generate a lot of revenue. And when you again start multiplying the how many boxes of these print runs, right, and how much if you take isn't the general rule of thumb 4x? So like if a product's $100 at retail to the customer, distribution cost is about $50, which means manufacturing is probably about $25, give or take.
yeah,
So if you start multiplying all that out, and let's say they even get the 50% mark, the 50% of even taking the what Tales of Aria Unlimited, which was 79,000 boxes, 80,000 boxes. Well, 80,000 times $50 is a big ass number, right? And that's just one of a multitude of sets that they have done, and it's like it is like a printing machine in a way. Not that they're trying to treat it like that, but there is the capability of having these good revenue sources for different games. And I think going back to your Star Wars, concept with Star Wars Unlimited, their IP is big, but unless they start diving into the Disney properties, that was the problem with the old games. They could only go episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and maybe some expanded universe, and that was the extent of the universe. There was nothing else to drive on. In Flesh and Blood, which is, if you look at the fab map, I think some people have kind of alluded to, there could be a whole other section in the Badlands, or we could get the pirate set everyone wants, and maybe right like a sea is shown, and then like, oh look, we're off to the other continent of Wraithtopia #2 or whatever it's called. I don't know, right? Like,
I think James White alluded to that, that there can be other lands other than Wraith. There's stuff that's, in their peripheral. And Star Wars Unlimited, like, there is like a limit on how much IP you can be with canon, but ultimately, like, there's a point where Disney's like, hey, last time you paid us 2 million, now we want 3 million.
it,
FFG's
it,
like,
it does go up.
we're not going to pay you that. And they're like, you're not going to print our cards on, or you're not going to print our IP. And that's the when the time bomb goes off. And sorcery, like, I understand it was a good counterpoint. Like, it is selling really well right now. I'm not gonna say it's not. Like, it's selling really well, but it's still the honeymoon phase. Like, we've seen this so many times in the last 4 years. Like, a set comes out, and then once a game has their third set, there's just that magic that, like, dissipates, and you really need to, whatever game you're producing, you really need to just get ready for that there is going to be a lull. You're going to have a Monarch event or a TOA where, things are hyped for WTR, Arcane Rising, Crucible War, but then Mon hits, and it's like, and then you have these events where after you've been in business for like 1 or 2 years, there's a slump, especially when you have like Rudy in the mix, hyping people up and stuff like that. Which it's good that he's doing that for Flesh and Blood. I'm happy that he's promoting the game, and he is a promoter of the game. But there's that Rudy effect where he pumps heroin right into the veins of the game, and it's good. It feels great in the moment, and that's where we are currently with sorcery. But my question is, what happens when we hit the third set and stuff? And to counterpoint what you're saying, like, okay, if the box prices are 25 and they sell it for 45 to distro, they're only making $20 per box. Well, these other stores and people flipping the boxes are making like what, 100%, 200% earnings. It's interesting how that goes, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong.
The second Star Wars set, if I remember, just looking, because I was trying to figure this out, um, it actually seems like it. I don't want to use the word depressed, but the box prices, like the first one is right now, as of looking, it's $188 for the very first set. And then the second set is $103, which I think is more reasonable, right? And my
Okay.
LGS does something interesting that I would like to convey for the world to see. So, like, we all are aware that when boxes are shipped, there's a cellophane wrapping around the outside of the box. So very similar to a booster pack, they're sealed. My LGS has two prices. So on launch day, if you want it sealed, you pay TCG Player Market. If you want it because you want to open it, then they will take that box and they will rip off the outer wrapping and sell it to you for the price that they were pre-selling it at.
Huh.
So basically, if that makes sense, you're taking the LSS branded wrapping off the outside, you're taking the Star Wars Unlimited branded wrapping off the outside, you're taking the Lorcana branded wrapping off the outside, and they will sell it to you at that $129.99 or 99, whatever the dollar amount is on day one launch that they deem is supposed to be, because
I think I like that.
you can't turn around and sell it as a sealed product. Uh, but they will then be able to support their local community, right? Because now they're putting that in a local community. So I appreciate that they do that. I really do.
That's smart. Yeah, it's a good way to drum up business.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of what is it, selling booster boxes at local game stores? What are your thoughts on the uniform pricing for PUPP
I knew that
pool?
was coming.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but what are your thoughts? I know. Okay, let me recap of what it is. It's basically saying minimum advertising pricing doesn't exist anymore. Advertising pricing is what you can put online that says, "Hey, this is the price that I'm selling this product." Instead of that, there's going to be no more. If you're a game store, you can't sell to anyone, even like through Discord or private message. You can't sell anyone at a price below whatever the map pricing is, or this uniform price per thing. And it's supposed to eliminate the gray market where you have these hookups systems that are going to be tried to get rid of. Anyway, that's the summary. And what's your take on it?
I'm going to use this cool boogie board that we won at Gen Con. I don't know if this is going to show up, but this is my
I
little
see it.
that's my little drawing of my map versus UPP, if you can read my silly handwriting. But right
Uh-huh.
now with map, it was just going all over the place, and if demand went up for the product because people wanted it, it would shoot up and go down, and it would just over time trail down because I could advertise it publicly. Like I think if I understand right with the map, I could basically put it up for $10, but I can't advertise I'm putting it up for $10. I could just sell it for $10 if I really wanted to,
Yes.
because that was it. Well, then the moment they implemented UPP, all of that went boop and went to a straight line across the board because now there is no ability for you to get it cheaper. And if somebody is breaking that system and hypothetically they get turned into LSS, they lose their distribution. So I believe that one of two or three things is going to happen. The people that were getting the bulk buy, like I'm buying 30, 40 cases, are going to have an unwritten gentleman's agreement with businesses that are still going to do that crap and it's behind closed doors now, like probably with every other game. Or somebody's going to tattle on that person when they figure it out, and they're going to say, "Oh, you're obviously getting your boxes from somewhere. Can I buy one of your boxes? Oh, hey LSS, can you track this number that's this from the batch because this is the person who sold it to me at this price, and I can prove that I got it. Here's my receipts. Here's my effort. Here's my energy." Because then at that point, you're basically helping yourself if you're another business, right? Because you're getting rid of competition that is breaking the rules to make it even for everybody.
Like snitches get rewarded.
In a weird way, this is one of the very few instances where I could actually see snitches being rewarded because I haven't looked in a long time, but LSS does have a banned list of businesses, and wow, do not go to that website. Oh my gosh, if you mistype the first three letters of FAB and you yep, never mind, just don't. If you go to
Those are your
retailers,
brownies.
there is I think it's under store locator maybe or retail. It's like a retailer quick start or something. But there was a list of banned stores. Yeah, suspended
Yeah,
stores.
yeah. There's suspended stores for doing like a bunch of different
Very
things. Yep.
very bottom one kicked it all off, right? Compete esports, and then there's just a bunch of other ones. Some in the USA, one here in the state of Indiana, a couple in Ohio, California, Washington. Looks like a couple have broke some rules. Aegis Games recently and Gamelandia as an example, they're on temporary suspension till October, so they're not even going to be able to get the latest set. So that hurts their communities, right? So
Yeah.
there is a double-sided sword of this, right? It also impacts the community building capability because if the store breaks those rules and they're the store that's supporting the community, now it becomes a problem for the community. How do you get your product if you can't get it other than saying, I'm going to go to Star City or I'm going to go to TCG Player or I'm going to go to Rudy, Rudy is still
Yeah.
selling stuff, and I will be very transparent because I think it's worth saying he is following the policy, right? His prices went from whatever they were to that max policy. Now he may not be selling near as much. I think that that's a truthful statement, if I had to be honest, because now his
Yeah.
prices are probably even more than what you can get on TCG Player for some fact. But like,
He makes money on like the initial sale where he
yep,
sells 2,000 boxes
correct, yep.
instantly.
And it's things like that that I think long term are going to be interesting. So I think the UPP policy, I don't have skin in the game because I can't sell sealed boxes. So for me, it doesn't make a big bit of difference. But if I was an LGS owner, I think my stance on it would be okay, that levels the playing field for everybody. So now somebody's going to want to shop based. There's a Pokemon YouTuber I've been watching because I kind of respect his kind of hustle on the side or how he's doing it. Apparently, he's $1 million plus business model at this point, so very good for him. And one of his recent videos actually kind of hit home, and it's the only differentiating factor between you and a big business is the personableness or the I think it's called the long term retention number for like a player or for a customer. So like if I were to sell you something and then we have a good rapport, you're going to come back to me and over the lifetime, me giving you a small discount every time is better because you're going to come back and spend money at a longer period of time,
Yeah.
which means your lifetime spend is bigger. And it was an interesting, relationship between listening to all that and yeah. So I
I
think
mean,
policy's all right.
I think we both can agree that like they are trying to address the problems with the boxes on the secondary market being $50 to $60. Like they're
Correct.
trying to put more margin integrity into the products to make game stores more money. Like that's the heart of it. It's not like LSS is like this is how we can make more money. Like the, there's very good intentions with it. Personally, I think it's just a little bit too basic. I think that there needs to be a little bit more uh, finesse in how it's approached. But I'm happy that they're trying to address it in one shape or form. The worry I have is, I mean, if you have, game stores who, have overhead and everything, and then you have single sellers who don't, I feel like we could go into a period for the next year where single sellers who can buy at distro or below distro prices will have an unfair advantage in the market and be able to just put an immeasurable amount of downward pressure on the price of singles because they, basically single sellers look at the EV of box prices. If the EV is good, if you can make money, if there's like a 20, 30, 40% margin, whatever is, it shakes your fancy, you'll buy as many boxes and pump, cards into the market until it goes down. So I think that may, still make it so like stores don't sell as many boxes. But hey, I could be totally wrong. Honestly, I hope it works out to where stores are able to sell for 20, $30 more per box and make like a ton more margin. Because if you think about it, if you buy a box from distro for, I'm just making a number up, like $65, and you sell it for 70, you're only making $5 on a box. It's nothing. But if you are like, well, I have to sell it for 85, like this is what they told me, you're making $20, which is literally like 4 times as much per box. So I think I think it has good potential, but you're gonna see a lot of stuff you were talking about with the people snitching each other out and ratting each other out, and I think that it's gonna cause people to be a lot more underground and a lot more careful with who they associate with, and the whole aspect of the gray market is going to get a little bit. The smart ones will live, and then the stupid ones will get banned. Oh, the
Well, and
unfortunate.
and let's tie back into one specific sealed product, older product, but
Yep.
I was just blown away from this because I haven't looked in a while. I'm looking at the Flesh and Blood sealed on TCG Player, and the lowest I sorted by lowest first, and then you see the Blitz decks, you see packs, right? I see the Dory versus Rhinar 2 player
Yeah,
starter for
okay.
$32. That's actually not that bad considering the MSRP was 50, so that's relatively within a margin. I see the Bolt and Armory deck, which is technically under UPP. I see the KO Armory deck, but then right slapped in the middle here is an older set, Monarch Unlimited booster box. $34.99. And I was like, no way it's that cheap. So I
That's crazy.
looked, and it does look like there is a $34.99 one with $9 shipping. Thank you very much. Which is technically $41.90. So there is a bunch of boxes, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 24, 50. Like there's probably 40 boxes under $50 that I could buy right now for that set. Now, I noticed that there's something interesting I'm seeing on TCG Player, and I don't know if it's because I have a seller account or I get to see some other data. I really don't know why, but I have these interesting graphs where it says like sale through rates and like number of, things sold. So, like as an example, it looks like on average, on a daily basis, going back at least 3 months, minus there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days or so, or 6 days. It looks like they are selling between 1 and 3 to 4 boxes a day at that price, which is kind
That's
of
actually pretty
kind of
good.
good to see. Um, when I look closer to the like a single month, like this is like 3 and 1 and 2. But then if you zoom out to a year, I don't know if this. Let's see here, more data. No, on the singles side, if I click on a single, it gives me like the number that they've sold total throughout the period of time, the average,
Mhm.
those kind of things. And I thought that was kind of an intriguing look. But then right after that, you have Tales of Aria Unlimited at $45, and then Everfest $44. Um, After that, everything else gets closer to the UPP and map prices. Um,
Like around the 80 range and such.
Uprising is 70, first
70,
edition ever, or first edition Monarch is 70, and then quickly you jump to $100 for Crucible of War, $80 for Outsiders, $70 for Heavy Hitters, $80 for
That's what it needs to be.
yeah.
Like anything below 80 and you're getting no margins. And that's what I think Flesh and Blood did in the beginning that really made them attractive to stores is they literally had a product sheet, right? Their first product, they said, "Hey, make 50% margins with WTR alpha."
Oh yeah.
And, and that's really enticing if you're a store and you see 50% margins because what's Pokemon and MTG? More like 5, 10%.
I mean,
Like it's
distro when I
well,
was able to get it for Pokemon was right around for me. It was about $100, 96, $97. That was pre
mhm.
raises. Then I heard it's about 109. So like my account, I'm not buying in mass bulk, so it would be like maybe 109, 110 is what I'm getting from distro. But the MSRP right is about 143 for Pokemon, and then you would technically have to cut out the shipping, the fees, and other stuff. It was really
Yeah.
hard to make anything of intrinsic value on that.
Yeah, and for Pokemon MTG and the big three or whatever, it makes sense to have a lower margin because it's going to sell, right? Or it has a higher probability, less risk. Whereas Flesh and Blood, any other of these other TCGs that haven't been out for a while, it's more risk, so you need more reward. If you have more risk, you need to put more margins. I think any game that's coming out in this time period, especially the indie ones, really need to really focus on that. I think the most is how are you going to make your game stores money? Like you can't just create a brand new game and like have really low margins. So going back to UPP, like I think that the intentions are pure. I see what they're doing. I hope it works. I hope it works, especially because I've got a lot of sealed. I don't know if you keep. You probably don't keep much sealed. You crack.
I crack a significant portion of everything I buy, but I do keep back only about a case or a little bit more than a case of each of the current sets that was back. I actually stopped doing that probably around the Outsiders. I got pretty sadly burnt on Outsiders in a pretty negative fashion. There's kind of a story there. I'm not really sure if it's actually provable or not, but
No, no, I hear you. Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry. You froze on that side. I was just like, oh yeah, you was just like, oh, oops. Uh, but anyways, I
No,
think
no,
it
I'm here.
I think it was within the realm
No,
of
I was
possibility.
paused in suspense of some nefarious going ons. Like, what happened to you, Jacob?
Yeah. But
Uh,
that's anecdotal. There's no way to prove it. I'm not mad at them. It's just it happens, right? That's with any sealed product. There's always a chance. But that one kind of sadly cost me a little bit more than it should have in my head. So
Yeah, and we've seen a good amount of that stuff in other sets. After that, I feel it's not as crazy, but I think if I was opening a mass box opening, I mean, you definitely want to do 100 boxes more, right? Like,
and
or
that's a
else you
pretty
can get
that's
like
a
a
big
rough
number.
bump.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
it's a big number
that is a big number.
when you think about the dollar amount and shipping and time. I wasn't even doing those big of a numbers in my opinion, right? I was doing, let's say a $2,000 order or a
Yeah,
$2,500 order, which is still, in my eyes, that's a pretty big, money to say, hey, I'm doing that for, multiple sets in a row, and like the spend still adds up, but then you got to find a way to sell the singles, sell the, the other cards, and when you hit bad, it can pretty much turn you negative pretty quickly. So that's kind of where
yeah,
it's
it's
rough.
the time, and then it's the not only just the labor and the hours and the shipping and all that crap. It's you have to do it so fast because if you're not first to market, you like in that 2 week period of people opening and cracking packs. Yeah, no,
And what
you're
I'm
gonna be holding
discovering,
a bag.
and I can't prove this, and I don't want to be the butthead to say it's somebody, but somehow certain people are getting boxes that are listing cards for single sale online before, like during the pre-release weekend or before, because certain they must have a relationship with somewhere somehow, and they're getting in my eyes, I think they're getting those singles listed so quickly because they're getting their products like the day or two before launch, but they're able to open it because there's no fucking way in my eyes that certain individuals are able to, without owning an LGS, get the amount of product, rip it open, and have it available for sale and in these buy here sell groups the day or the night of, unless they are literally getting it and somehow staying up for 48 hours straight and doing nothing but ripping packs.
Do they like sell stuff before they get it. Like they say, hey, like they put on TCG Player. We have 4 of every legendary, or like 10 of every legendary, maybe.
I will
I mean, I
never
know there's a
I will
couple of
never
people in
know
this.
because someone who tells me will probably get themselves in trouble, right? Like
Yeah,
I don't want to be that person, but at the same time I have to look out for, like, from a business perspective, like if that is the case, right? That means that that person's a competition, and if they are truly that competitively advantageous in front of me, then I need to start asking the question: is it because they are better, or is it because they have a competitive advantage or more capital, or why? And it could be a multitude of things, right? Better website, better customer relations, better shipping, more player base that knows just go direct to me. I'll get you the product you need. Like there could be a myriad of things, right? But it all boils down
mm,
to time to get it on TCG Player. Are they just saying that statistically, based on buying X amount of boxes, I know I'm going to get X amount of things, so I'm going to list X amount in advance? Who knows? Like I'll never know, right?
yeah, yeah,
No one will want to tell me, because this is kind of the angry LGS owner side, right? Like this would be the little birdie that would be like, yeah, that's not cool, like, but at the same time, right? It's a capitalist society. The one that gets the money is the one that gets the money. Until they
it's
don't get the
true.
money, right? That's the problem, right? It's all about it until, I was a news article popped across my screen. Like I guess there was an LGS store owner that must have bought something from another store, and then, like, I think they got a felony because they ended up like doing a cashback something, and then or like a return, and then they took the product anyways and they sold it. It apparently it's crazy, but it was like, this is a store owner, and it's like, well, you just fucked your whole career. You just destroyed your reputation. No one's gonna want to buy anything from you. Like there's only so much goodwill people will give you, right? And at a certain point, you have to be very mindful of that fact, right? So it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you putting a good amount of money in Rosetta? I mean, from just a outside standpoint, like the talent system scares me a bit. If you don't have too many generics and stuff like that, that's why other sets that have, well, maybe it has generics. We haven't even seen the card pool yet,
We
but
haven't either. So I
yeah, that'll
shifted my
like, what are you
mentality.
doing with it?
I shifted my mentality after Dust Till Dawn and Outsiders. I went very, in my eyes, I went as big as I could for the time with my return on Outsiders and Dust Till Dawn. And shortly after that, I had to kind of reassess my um, cash flow metric based on knowing that I am not doing this full time, and that it was, what I want to do full time. But until I can, come up with a way to ensure to not only pay those bills down and not have a rollover, but use technology. Like I have magic sorting machines, which are, well, technically they call them magic sorting, but they'll sort anything. They'll sort Star Wars Unlimited. They'll sort other stuff. So what I've started to do is I started to partner with other mass box openers and ask them, okay, you want the creme de la creme top 5% of cards. You want the Majestics, you want the foils, you want the legendaries and the marbles. What do you want for everything else? Because at that point, right, I'm now getting a known risk, a known quantity. I can calculate I'm getting X amount of UPS large flat rate boxes. I'm getting X amount of commons. I'm getting X amount of rares. I know if I send them to the machine, I know that I can get them sorted. I can get them cataloged. I can get them ready to go. I can sell a play set. So what I've done is I've split my mentality where I'm going to still spend probably my lower end of my estimates between, 2 to 5 cases as an example from a distro and get that. But then I'm going to spend the rest of that because it's a significantly less amount of money. I mean, I'm talking probably in the ballpark of less than a cost of a case or less than the cost of 2 cases to get 30 or 40,000 individual cards because it's bulk. And then I
Hmm.
spend my effort, time, and energy to collate that and turn that into a, oh, you want to join and get this brand new, in Rosetta, you want every lightning card? Well, here's a playset of 3 of every lightning card or a playset of every common. I know other people are doing that. I think Hamel and some other folks are doing that.
Yep.
But other than,
TCG Bolt Kings.
yeah, TCG
Have you
Bolt
heard of that
Kings,
guy?
yes,
He
yeah,
created a website recently with a bunch of cards. Yep.
heck
Yeah,
yeah,
it's basically convenience, right? Like you're
correct.
getting play sets, and you're basically making it so people don't have to sift through hundreds and hundreds of cards to get their one play set. You're doing it for them, and you're getting a couple extra pennies along the way.
But you are
but
that's
it
the
adds
thing.
up.
You are competing with that group, right? You are competing with the TCG Bull King, who I believe is a TCG Pro direct sell, right? Right? There are some bigger fish out there that are doing this full time. That I guess I can't. I'm not complaining. I'm trying not to, but basically, like, it's just
No, you're not.
it's a
How it is.
fact.
It's a fact.
It's a time versus effort energy. If you put your time into that, if I were to focus 100% of my effort and stop creating content and go full bore into that, I'm sure I can make a rip roar machine that would be beautiful, right? I could use technology to my advantage. I could be a one man crew that has multiple technologies, multiple ways to automate sorting, shipping, cataloging, different various things. I could have, family members and friends come over on the weekend, throw them packs of beer to do certain things, right? Like, I'm sure I could find a way to make it work. It's just, you have to balance
Man,
the joy. And one thing Riddler Man kind of talked about recently that I've been having to self reflect on because I'm bad at this is I find a way to fill every minute of every day with something to do. I am always busy because I force myself to be busy. That's probably not healthy.
it's
And
good though.
I'm
I'm
discovering
lazy.
I'm discovering as I get older, right? Time is the only thing I get back. Like, technically, and you're going to be probably a shame on you. I've split tonight because August 21st is the anniversary of our the wedding with me and the wife. So I
Oh,
did some stuff with her earlier, and then I was like, I got an interview to do later tonight, so it's like, hey, I'm going to do
dude,
that.
you could have
So
postponed it. My bad. I
no,
don't.
no, 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 no. Well,
Okay.
and then tomorrow we're going to PopCon for Louisville. So we've been packing and prepping and doing that. That goes back to the time thing, right? It's you have
Yeah.
all these things you're planning, and we've been spending the last like week making the booth, getting that all together, prepping all that. I got my photo video equipment that I got to the side. It's a lot of preparation to ensure that when you're there, it's a success, right? But at the show, in theory, she should be able to make a lot of sales, which will bring in a lot of capital, which is good because, if you can make 3 to 5 grand on a 3 day weekend, right? Like, well, damn, that's good, right? Like, that's,
Yeah.
you paid
Definitely.
X amount for a 10 by 10 booth and you did all these other things and you're there, but you're able to sell all these widgets and trinkets, and like she does resin dice and resin jewelry and all that. And, it's like people are willing to spend that, commoner, they'll spend the $10-20 for a deck, right? But if you're not hardcore in the game, you don't want to go buy the $100 legendary or the $200 cold foil, but you're willing to spend the 20, 30, 40 bucks buy that armory deck or whatever. And that's kind of how
Yeah.
she's positioned herself with the resin stuff, is she has a lot of $5, $10, $20 items, and that's people will go up and say like, oh, I want oh, my friend will like that, or oh, here you go, that kind of stuff. So all
Yeah.
that's
On
to
the
say,
opposite. Huh?
I've
What were you gonna say?
reduced my spend. So I have reduced my spend, but I've done it to one ensure my success, because I agree the talents are a little bit scary, because in Rosetta right now, as a mech player, as a person who wants to focus and knows a lot about mech, I know nothing about Runeblade, other than I know Briar was crazy bad slash good bad, like bad for me as a mech player, but
Yeah.
good because it was good. But I am excited for Acilio because I like the look of the character. Um, but right now, again, most cards in this whole set are probably things that, as a player and person, that as an example, I wouldn't use half of them. But there is some mech cards in here. But I have to look at this from a grander scope, right? If you get the singles, people will want them, right? So there's a balancing act between a personal look, even though people hated, let's say, bright lights, right? I love bright lights. I went heavy in bright lights,
Oh, that was really nice.
but now everybody thinks bright lights is a giant steaming pile of doo doo. But like, I personally don't agree with that statement because I like mech. But I'm looking at Rosetta like, okay, Rosetta is interesting. I see what they're doing. I like the hero selection. The art is beautiful. The wife really likes it. So actually, I was able to convince her to try these with me. So that was kind of cool. Although she fell really in love with Altered TCG at Gen Con, oddly enough. I don't know what it was about it, but
Interesting.
she was like, I really want to play this game. She's very excited now to open some of that product. I'm trying to get her that way for this, but it may not happen. But she definitely really likes Altered. So, anyways, that's a lot of crap. I spewed a lot of information
No,
out
no,
there.
it was good, and I mean, it's funny you say this because like I am completely lazy. I mean, if it given me 2 hours to just chill on the couch and scroll through my phone aimlessly, I'm that guy. I honestly and take naps. I love naps, but I think that's why. And we were talking about this. I think maybe a month ago or so when I made a video about Majestic bulk. Like, I like that strategy, dude. Like, I just started selling some cards too. What is it? There's a Tome of Harvest that are going for $5 a card. Yeah,
This is
dude, they're
all
like 25
majestic
cents.
like everything here. This is a literal stack of Majestics that I have been buying.
This is the
Basic,
way.
if I let any, if there is any Majestics that I see for like less than 50 cents, and the seller has like 5 or 10 of them, I've just added to my cart, and I'll just keep adding until
Yeah,
I get to $10, and
it's
I'll just
fine.
check out. And
And that
this is
card
the
you have on the
result of
top,
that.
that card you have on the top, that was 25 cents for the longest time, but now it's like a $2, $3 card.
Oh, this one, the
Yeah.
Spectral Possession,
Yep.
that's a $2 to $3 card.
Yeah. It peaked at like $5 for a small amount. I don't know if it's still.
I should have liquidated.
Yeah. You would have made what is it, 1,000% or something, or a
Yeah.
little bit more than that.
I mean,
But anyway,
I
just
find things like this too. Like there's brainstorms,
brainstorming. Really.
you know.
I mean, especially I think that card actually popped too.
Yeah.
Because the new hero, the electric dude, looks like he's gonna be using that card. But long story short, like I feel like a lot of people who are interested in buying and selling in the market and whatever, it's speculation and investing gets like such a negative rap, man. Oh, you open it?
As you're talking, I'm just I'm
Good.
prepping
Like
opening.
investing gets a negative rap, but it's nice. You get to interact with the game, and also you can be lazy about it. Just buy the cards that are cheap, sit on them for, a couple of years, and then, put them out to market when they're like 5, 10, or whatever you want. So that's what I've been doing. I think I have like 10,000 bulk Majestics
Oh
just
my gosh,
because,
you have more than me then. If you have 10,000, I haven't gotten to 10,000. I think I'm at about 5 or 6.
you know what cards I'm interested in, new set?
Crack bubbles.
So seeds.
Oh really?
I think it's going to be really good at that healer class. I'm interested in that.
What did I get? I got a foil tribute of the doomed. This is
Anything good?
that's a rare. And
Just a
oh,
foot. Oh,
there you
hey,
go.
there's a Majestic.
There you go.
That's like a $5 card,
Luminous
maybe.
Lance. I like the art on that one.
It's really nice. That's
Yep.
Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah, that was a Dust Till Dawn pack. I'm seeing if
Nice.
maybe one of the random packs I have laying around has a artist proof card in it, so I can retire or something.
There's there's a chat on the a Discord where this guy opened WTR Alpha Box and he sold one pack, and he didn't pull any of the cold foil in that pack, and someone has his pack hostage that
Oh,
probably has the cold foil.
the
Did you read through
Schrodinger's
that?
pack. I remember seeing that post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I thought that was hilarious.
So
Uh,
I got this in the video. I don't know if I ever released the other piece of it, but this was
nice.
the box itself was weighable. I think I've tried to put a PSA out there in the Flesh and Board Discord,
And
but there is just enough of a difference. Now, what I did with this was I actually don't know if I'm ever going to open it, but this was in the one of the cases I had. I did have a pack, and I kept it in this little sealed. This is a bearish case or whatever, and I was able to go buy the actual card for like $10. So this is my Schrodinger's $10,000 special, whatever it's going to be called,
mm,
the Marvel Enigma, because I don't have to necessarily ever open it, but I will always know I have one because it's in this and I just don't know I have it. So, um,
maybe
you know,
that's
I
probably a
I
smart
figured
bet.
in 10 years, right? I can always open it. I can never unopen
Yeah.
it. So,
Yep.
uh, when the hype has died down and we're in the future and there's pirates and there's alchemists and there's PvE, right? I'll maybe one day have a blast with it. And that's the whole reason I'm even keeping any of the sealed I have. I would rip open everything I had today if I thought I could basically sell the singles for more than what the enjoyment factor of having that box would be in a 5 year period where, as an example, let's say I get to meet you in Florida and we get to hang out, right? If I bring a WTR Belgium box where we get Drone of Brutalities, right? Like
You're speaking my language.
the sheer giggles of being able to be like, let's draft and have Drone of Brutalities. This is so
Dude,
great.
that's
Like,
why I stocked up. Like I have at least I think 40 WTR or unlimited, not alpha, unlimited boxes. Because I'm the same mindset. In 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm gonna want to open that box, and there's no way the supply is gonna last for that long a time, you know?
Correct.
There's gonna be a time period where people are like, "Uh-oh, I can't buy the box anymore." Now it's like $120 a box, but the EV isn't there, and it's just gonna slowly creep up.
So that leads me to kind of a circle back on your, the sealed thing.
Yeah.
I sadly stopped keeping a bunch of sealed right around the where's the stupid there's is it sets? They changed something on the release sets on Fabre, so I for some reason always miss it. So right around History Pack 1, I got the black labeled stuff. I kept one of each of those sealed just because I thought it really cool. So I have like the Italian, German, French, and Spanish, I think is what it is. So I have one of each of those locked away just to keep for a very long time. I have some Uprising that I kept sealed. I have Dynasty I kept sealed, but it was Outsiders. The starting with Outsiders, I have opened every product that I have purchased. So I don't have
Oh, I
any at the moment. I don't have any sealed Outsiders. I don't have any sealed Dust Till Dawn.
think it's
I
a
guess technically that's a lie because I just bought two Bright Lights boxes so that I could have them for some draft later. But I think what I want to do is I want to go buy a couple of cases of Bright Lights, a couple of cases of Heavy Hitters, because those I think are going to be long-term fun draftable. Oh yeah, like just like that one right there. One of is that the
Yep.
Italian one?
I think French is deluxe.
Oh,
And something I heard you and Riddle are talking about is History Pack 2. History Pack 2 is out, I think. History Pack 3, I don't think.
wait, where'd you get that?
I have a local guy who was able to get it off of a back wagon cart. No, it was on eBay, man.
Holy crap! No, I've never seen one.
Yeah, dude. It
What?
actually has fables in it. Yeah, it has fables in it. The product sheet is on the Fab TCG site. I heard you guys talking about it, and I was like, what are they talking about? I have one on my shelf. But anyway, my bad. But History
What?
Pack 3, I still don't think, yeah, dude, it came out.
You
I
just
think they're
broke
on
my.
eBay for like 130 bucks.
No way. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to go
Yeah.
put one of those into my car. I want to see if I can find one now. I'm gonna look that
Now
up later. I'm
now,
gonna take this.
what is it? Little disclaimer for anyone who's listening, like, these boxes are just beautiful. I like them, but opening
I
them
just want one
is just
sealed on
terrible
my.
EV. It's very
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I have one in a bearish case. Having one sealed in your room, that is the best thing that you can do with this. If you open it, it's a very bad idea because you're probably not going to hit anything good, and it's almost impossible to sell the foreign cards, right? I don't know if you've dabbled with that, but I've heard from many people selling them, especially in the United States, obviously. But yeah. Anyway, just wanted to show you that one because I was hearing you guys talk about it. I was like, I got it.
Man,
But
now I'm
do you
super
think History
jelly.
Pack is done?
I
Dude,
would
you could just
agree
go on
with
eBay. It's
Riddler.
130 bucks.
I think History Pack is a thing of the past, at least for now. I think they're going to
Same.
reimagine it. I think it's going to so similar to how they've released newer cards in in every couple of sets they've done this. So a good example is an Uprising, right? The the reprints from WTR, they used the same card but they were non-foil.
Yep.
So Scar for Scar, I think, is an example of that one. Um,
Yep.
in Part the Mistveil, right? We saw reprints of older cards that came into the set and they were printed again in non-foil, but they were just sprinkled into the set. With the release cycle that I think they're going for, like Nimble Strike here is an example, Wounding Blow, those got reprinted, Nimbleism got reprinted. I believe that based on the quantity that already exists in older product that would be singles available to the market segments, plus sprinkling them in a reprint and a new set means that they probably don't have a need now for those, especially since they're releasing these in 4 geographic language or 5 with Japanese now. So
Yeah.
I don't foresee, like with Rosetta, right? You have the 4 languages, 5 languages with Japanese worth of product. And I don't know what percentages or what numbers. We probably won't know for the next couple of years, right? We probably will have no idea on those. Like even Bright Lights, we probably may not even know how much they did of each of those. Um, but if there would be a History Pack 3, you have to understand that that would then constitute Outsiders, Dust Till Dawn, Bright Lights, Heavy Hitters, and Part the Mistveil, maybe. And those
Hmm.
5 sets alone are 2, 3. Like they'd only have to go Outsiders, Dust Till Dawn, and maybe Bright Lights. That's almost a 700. That's almost a 700-800 card set just with those 3 sets.
Yeah, and it would be a bit much. I mean, I think that LSS is keeping it on the table for if it's needed in the future. I mean, from the beginning, it was for localized languages that didn't have the product yet. And instead of buying like 4 different booster boxes, they could just buy one box that had all of the cards for that pool. So I think from now, like you're saying, like
The
there's
Mastery Pack. That's where I think they're going to fill that in
oh yeah, the mastery pack might be
because
it.
that's
So yeah,
another
they're
product
probably
suite.
discontinuing it, but we'll definitely see if they continue it. What are your thoughts about the mastery pack? I it's interesting. It just feels like I don't know, like just one extra. They have a lot of different product lines now with the mastery pack.
So the Mastery
I
Pack,
like how there's new cards.
yeah, it answers an interesting question because again, going back to Gen Con, I got to meet some people,
Mhm.
and if those people ever find this, cool, great. It was awesome to meet you. Thanks. They were opening a Part the Mistveil booster box right in front of us on to the right where we were playing a board game. I looked over, I saw them. It's like, holy crap! Like this is cool. Um, I walked up, gave them a couple things. I don't know if you heard my little spiel, but I gave them a little booster pack that had like a cold foil, a couple of random Majestics. I gave them a signed crack bobble and some staple cards. But basically, it was just like a little pack like this to kind of say, "Hey, welcome to the game." And it had some branding and some other stuff to try to promote my business, but also still like hey, here's some cool freebies that most people are like, "What the heck is that? That's really cool." So, anyways, they were opening this box, and like they obviously must have just played a very first like learn to play, bought some product or whatever, and these guys didn't know about classes very much. They didn't know about generics. And as they were going through, I was like, hey, you might want to, before you go and invest in the really big stuff, you need to figure out what class you like. And then talk to them about the Blitz decks. And they bought the long box of the Blitz deck. So they had some of that. But what was missing from all of that, right, was if they wanted a hero that was not part of that part the Mistveil and part the Mistveil set, like let's say they bought the heavy hitters, block of 6 decks, there will be almost 0 cards other than generics that Part the Mistveil would give to them. So I was trying to explain to them that, right now in the ecosystem, there's only, if you look for certain cards, like you want Ranger, you got to go to Arcane Rising or Outsiders or Dynasty or, technically a couple of generics, right? I was trying to explain that. I think Mastery Packs is the beautiful answer to someone having to explain, yeah, you got to go look for 3 out of print products, 1 in print product, and that one over here that I only have 1 box of. And I might be able to sell you that, but it's really expensive because there's another class that's really, really sought after. So the box EV is way up here, but all the stuff you're looking for is way the fuck down here because that's not a class everybody wants to play. Like it's this weird.
It's
I'll use the
true.
word dichotomy, but it's the weird dichotomy of what's inside a sealed box is not indicative of the value of the cards within the box because again, Outsiders, I think the most expensive card in the whole set is the Codex of Frailty, minus a couple of trying to find the Fable or the Fabled or the oh, what the hell is the name of that damn thing? The Marvels, the 3 Marvel cards, right? So those and some extended art. If you don't hit the Codex like the rest of the cards, it's just simpler to buy the singles, like a Nerve Scalpel for an Assassin, $3. A
Oh yeah.
couple of ninja cards, $1. Down and Dirty, $1. But like it's top heavy with like the extended art Redback Shroud, the extended art Trance of Sunken Treasure, which is a freaking beautiful card. I need to buy one because it's only like $75. I don't have one yet. That is a card I really, really, really want because I think the artwork is pretty. I did buy, I think it was is it Federico Massetti? Is that who does that one? I think.
I'm not
Yeah, it
quite
is.
sure.
Yeah. So
It's a great
at
card.
Baltimore, I bought a wall scroll of this artwork, and I have it somewhere around here. I like kind of like your poster in the background. It's not that big, but I have something that's you know
Yeah,
8.5 by
decent
11
size.
or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean, it's growing on me. I'll have to see the whole product once it comes out and kind of give my thoughts. And from what you said in the beginning, maybe they're trying to address like, okay, you have the Ira Welcome deck, which is basic bedrock. Then you have the First Strike product, which is a little bit more. Then you have the Blitz decks. And then once you played a couple Blitz decks, you're like, hey, I really like Ranger. I really like,
correct.
Guardian or whatever. Then it's like, what product do you get after that? And after the Blitz decks, it's the Mastery. And then after the mastery, then maybe the classic constructed deck. Maybe that's there's a whole like life cycle that they're expecting or they, planned out.
So there's
But
an
I do
there's
like how there's new cards. It's good that they're not just selling like reprints and just a bunch of bulk that's like worthless.
well,
So
that's the cool
mm,
thing, I think, in my opinion, of my understanding where they're going with it. There's two trains of thought. Obviously, as an example, I'm just going to pick on the Majestic we just hit. I don't think it's very expensive, but as an example, if this light card gets put into a mastery pack for warrior, as an example, right? Because there are light cards that go with a warrior. That
yeah,
means that they would be doing. I think they offered crack shuffle play. Bringing that back with the mastery. So maybe in the first one, I think it's Guardian centric. I think.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Guardian.
So,
Guardian needed more support. We didn't have enough.
but what percentage of cards will be new versus reprints? I don't know. But the reason I bring that up is, let's say this was a Guardian card from WTR. A lot of those cards are very, very cheap right now. So they really don't
Yeah,
necessarily need a big reprint. But for a new player that doesn't have access to those cards, or people like me that says there's no reason for me to put a card for 10 cents that's a Majestic that I feel should not be a 10-cent Majestic, I'm not going to list that card online. I'm going to wait till it matures to be at
yeah,
least a 50-cent card or something, like, right? And that's not because I don't want to hurt the game. If somebody were to contact me that's like, hey, I'm in a pinch, I need some, I'm going to get them what they need. But like, I don't want to say I have 100 of this card and then dump them for 10 cents a piece, because then the next person's just going to do the same thing you're doing and I'm doing. We're
yeah.
just going to hold it until it becomes something that is a little bit more worth trying to sell, because the effort of shipping and getting it through the mail with the packing and all that and the stamping and blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? It all adds up to where there has to be a value to that card, which is where I think these mastery packs will come in, because they'll bring some new cards. People want those, but they'll also probably bring some reprints of some older Guardian cards that probably don't necessarily have to be valuable, but they'll inject a little bit more things that may not be specializations, but they could also inject new heroes, which then
That's
spike
very true.
older cards that do not necessarily come in that are only in, say, another out of print set, that people are like, for a long time, Crucible of War, what was the not rally the rear guard? There was a generic in Crucible of War that was it was a couple dollars, and then they reprinted it in,
Snag,
what was it?
snag. It's a chain
Uh,
counter.
I
That
don't think
was
it was.
like $30 for a bit.
I don't think it was Snag. It was. I think it was only a rare. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, it was generic rare.
It was a generic rare in Crucible of War,
There
but
weren't too many generic rares too in crew. I'm trying to think of it. I mean, I know
as
back in
soon
the
as I see the
day.
artwork, I'll know exactly which one it is. But
I know what it is. The draw one. It's the cash in, cash out.
no, not that one. Let me go rarity,
That
rare.
that one was good. I mean, crew had a
Reinforce the
lot less
line.
reinforced line.
So
That one spiked.
Reinforce the line at one point was a fairly expensive card,
How
and
much?
then when it got reprinted,
I slept on
um,
it.
it I think it went down in price. Like right now, it's what, 30 cents. Oh, I'm looking for a bunch of filters. Let me clear that off. So right now, back going back 1 year, that card was selling on average 60 to 70 to, and it kind of went down. It lost its, between September and December.
$60.
It was no, it was 60
Oh,
quantity per day, and it was
oh,
about $1.50. It went to $2. It went to 2.20, 2.19, and then literally right at August of this year, it dropped to 30 cents, and now the card's a 30-cent card. So it got reprinted in something. I'm trying to remember what it got reprinted in.
I mean, I think rares, man. Like, there's no like. I think LSSV on rares is like it's a 25 cent card,
Heavy. It was
like
heavy hitters. It
25
got
to
reprinted
50
in
cent.
heavy hitters.
Like any rare is a cent card, like below $1. I feel like they think Majestics should be around the 5 to 10 range.
So what about
Legendary,
Syncolo? Why is that one still? So I mean, that one I almost want to dump
it'll
every
probably get
single.
reprinted.
I'm kind of I have a lot of sync blows, and I probably will say, damn, I should have got rid of them, because they're about $1.50 a piece right now, give or take. But like, I've been holding on to the WTR ones, and I kind of I regret maybe keeping as many as I did, but Yeah, they're a
They
dollar.
spiked to like $3 or something?
Fate for Scenes also were kind of expensive. Oh yeah, they did spike to about 250 somewhere in that, but they've stabilized right around a dollar. Oh, speaking of fun things, I was going through bulk the other day, and I noticed something crazy. So two things. I found a crimped card, which
Oh, that's
probably
cool.
probably doesn't show up, and something that I never thought I would find in bulk, uh, which blew
A
my
cold full of
freaking
heart.
no. This is a
What?
ARC-C. It's a foil, but it's from the first edition.
Mm-hmm. That's a
So
first edition foil?
yeah, and then
Nice.
right behind that, which is this stack of stuff here, all of this randomly was, it's not a lot, but it's like maybe 2 packs worth, was first edition like Arcane, Rising, and a couple of WTR. And the only reason I even knew it was first edition is because when I was randomly
Thanks,
going
Rick.
through, I happened to see this weird color Nimbleism. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this? Why? I was like, what's up? And then I
The
looked and I was
tension
like,
must have been low on toner.
holy crap, it's the first edition. And then as I kind of went a little further in that stack of cards, I found a couple more. And, all said and done, I think I ended up with whatever that stack is, right? It's 30 or 40
That's a good
cards.
haul.
So it was intriguing to find that in somebody's bulk box. And it's like, wow, like that's this day and age, right? I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's impressive. Like,
It's rare. Yeah, especially this day and age. I guess someone opened like a couple packs at an event or something and
they
just
probably
threw
kept
in
the good
the
stuff. I didn't get any sink belows, or that was what I was, like, oh, I got a sink below maybe, or a thing. So I need to probably circle back with you on yeah, I think you had an offer for me. I need to probably talk with you about that because I think that's still something I like to maybe pull the gun on at some point.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Just because sooner or later, right? I'm gonna look back and say, man, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? It's just that's the thing, right? It's the convenience factor of having an individual like yourself that has a deal that says, hey, I can offer you this thing, and I don't have to go nickel dime penny it from all over the place and hell and back. And I'm trying to right now complete a arcane. I'm sorry, a Tales of Aria Unlimited master set, which is funny
Oh, that's
because I was
cool.
already 80% of the way done with it, like before they announced the printer numbers. And then I was like, oh shit, I got to go buy my rainbow foils. And then half the rainbow foils I ordered, even though I bought specifically the unlimited, I got first edition foils. And it's like, crap. So, like, do I go? I mean, I can go back to the seller and be like, hey man, that's wrong. But like, I can get a refund, but like, is it really worth getting a refund, or just keep it and know that it's still technically a first edition foil, but like, I really now got to go search around and buy more of the unlimited, because just because somebody lists it doesn't mean it's, you know, the right one, which
Yeah, definitely.
kind of
Yeah, it's
sucks.
tough when it's like it's such a small order and you don't want to hassle the person or and if it's the first edition, it is more valuable. But it's funny that well, why'd you want to do the unlimited rainbow foil? Just because it was like a unique thing to put together?
When I started looking at what I had, I've been doing master sets. So like behind me, I have my WTR master set here, which I believe at this point is
Unlimited?
it's unlimited. So like this one has one of every non-foil and one of every foil. The legendaries are in another area, but I believe I'm about 99 or 95 percentile done. Right, I have all the major ones, including I went through and did every iteration of each token from the
Oh
different
wow.
paintings. So there are a total of 26 unique tokens. Like each of the bravos down here, the three young bravos have a different thing on the back of them. As an example,
Hmm.
each of the katsus. So, and this is all unlimited. So it's like the difference between the Belgian box and the Japanese box. But I was doing this for all the sets, and I was in the process of building my binder for Tales of Aria Unlimited when those print numbers were, kind of announced. Because I've been lagging behind on trying to complete sets, because it is a tedious process, mind you. It really
Really,
is.
you need a lot of time.
To
Like
put
I really enjoy it. Nothing's better than like a Friday night at 9 p.m. You're just like listening to a nice podcast or something, just taking the cards, sleeving them in a binder and putting it together. But it is a lot of time. But
it is.
that's awesome.
And that's kind of where I've been having to, again, pick and choose my battles. So I laxed on my building sets. Like I have a dynasty binder I'd started. I had a part the Mistveil that I did, that I started doing a Japanese set, and an English set. But then when I realized I wasn't going to be able to get all the alternate arts and the different variations, I was like, do I really want to start chasing? Like, I definitely been working on my Uprising set. Like, I got all the dragons, I got most of the other. So I have like 90% of the Marvels minus the three big, Tomultai, whatever. I don't have those three yet because I've been spending money elsewhere. Like, I bought all the young Marvels from Heavy Hitters for a grand total of like $100. I'm like,
Wow, crazy.
that's an insane value for the fact that those young heroes are only $20 for a Marvel, and it typically is like one a case or one every other, you know,
Yeah,
box.
dude, Marvel, what is it? Prices are just stupid. Like it's just stupid. I mean, if you think about how hard it is to pull these cards, it's just
Well,
that's the
dragons
only
are
word
still
for it.
like $10 to $20 in Uprising right now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, especially when you look at how many boxes you have to own. Like every set, I've done this. I buy a case or two cases. I open them, and then I think, wait a minute, why did I do this? I could have just bought all the Marvels for the same exact price, and all those Marvels. It would have taken me like 50 cases to pull them. But I, for some reason, bought the two cases and rolled the dice. Like it's just, I think a lot of people, when you sit back and it's what it is, when you buy a box and you open it, it's an experience, it's fun. But sometimes receiving mail and, and opening it up and you see the Marvel, that's an experience too. So
So
I've been
why do you
trying to
think
do that a lot more.
the Marvels, from an example of Dust Till Dawn and Part the Mistveil, are on the higher end of the spectrum of pricing?
Oh, like why Dust Till Dawn and Part the Mistveil
Yeah,
have
like
more price?
most of their no, like most of the Marvels are like $60, $70, $50, 70, 80, 50, 70, somewhere in that. But then like the older ones, like the because the hero is maybe living legend, right? They're not as relevant possibly as my thought. But like looking at the value again, going back to like Marvel Zen, Marvel Kasai, those from heavy hitters, those are like $30. But these cards, the inner cheese, like the cheapest ones are like 40 or 60 or 50, a piece. It blows my mind that they're even that inexpensive, but most of them are higher on the spectrum if you sort by high to low on the Marvel rarity on TCG Player.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude. I mean, the ones from Part the Mistveil, I love the energy. I bought all eight. I think I pulled three of them,
Oh,
and
nice.
I purchased the other five because they're beautiful cards. But and the reason why I you know did it is because when I'm looking at it, it's like a $40 card, and a box is like $80, and it's like, do I buy the $80 box that has a 1 in 8 chance of pulling the card that's $40? It's like,
Forrest
yeah, and
Gump,
I don't
man.
know,
A
yeah,
box is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. It's like,
I have no idea. Though why they're so cheap. But then on the other hand, like you do have some heavy hitters if you like you have the adult new,
oh
which
yeah.
is what 350 $300.
I think it is one of the. Let's go to the first page here. The most expensive Marvels.
I
That
think aesthetics play a big role
Yeah,
is my answer.
new
I
is
feel like that
230.
okay. Okay, she dropped a bit, but yeah, I think aesthetics play a pretty big role. I mean new is pretty meta relevant as well, but yeah, that's what I'll say.
Heroes also are pieces of artwork. I put them on the table and they don't get shuffled in. So I stare at that, right? So I feel like those are always going to have something. I am still kind of sad that I don't have a singularity because that's $900 now. The Emperor is almost 800, and the Leviah Redeemed is 500. So like those three cards are ones that I would love to have, pinnacles of collection kind of a thing. But man, it's just when you look at the price of those three, it's like, is it worth long term buying and holding that? If I had the spare funds, the answer would be immediately yes. But like that's a lot of booster boxes, a lot of other various cold foil commons, rares. Like I could buy 750 cold foil commons and have 5 or 10 of those spike, and have 10 copies a piece and make, you know, a bunch of money and then
Yeah,
put that
from
in something
investing
else.
wise, it's like it doesn't feel worth it. I mean, yeah, so many other things could have much higher margins. From a collector's standpoint, though, I
They're
if
beautiful.
I'm spending anything like that, I better know like the print run size, like how many of this thing was created in order to spend like $800 on a card. Like that's
Ooh.
why I like the cold foils from WTR Alpha. It's like the the print run has been established. It's on the website. People have opened a lot of boxes. They know the exact amount, and the game pieces are pretty low in value. I mean, when you're buying a cold foil legendary, you may be spending $1,000, but you know that there's only 1,100 of them. So it's
My goal for this
yeah.
year, if I can pull it off, either probably within 1 calendar year, I'd like to own my first gold foil. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to earn it by playing. I don't think I'm that good, so I don't think I'm
Me
going to be
neither.
able. I don't think I'll be able to do that. But if I can find a relatively cheap generic gold foil, it has to be generic. That's my only criteria. Then I will look into purchasing one of those, and then I would like to own the Marvel Teklovasen before the Bright Lights numbers get announced. The Marvel, uh, and I think if I can if I could do those two items, I'd be happy. I mean, don't get me wrong.
What do gold foils go for? Like $1,000 for something that's common?
For the gold foils, I'm
Yeah.
actually not qualified enough to be able to give you a good estimate. I've seen numbers all over the place. I think that's the problem I have is there. I don't think that's something I'd buy through TCG Player. I think that's like a post a want to buy in the Flesh and Blood TCG group and say, hey, I want one of these. What are my options? Because
Let's go on Timu.
Timo, God, I'm glad people haven't started faking those though. Jesus, like
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely want the provenance too, and that's probably why big collectors and investors go to these tournaments because when they literally see the player get the pack handed it to them, probably instills a good amount of confidence.
correct. I do want some judge packs, mostly to keep sealed, but they're very expensive as well.
Yeah, I
I,
watched a buddy of mine open some judge packs, and I think like two of them were bent. It was unlucky.
so what's your
Um,
thought on the like? I'm a fan of collecting empty wrappers. I know, like kind of like you, right? But
I
like
like them.
those higher tier rarity ones where there's that risk of reseal kind of a component. What do you feel on like people selling the empty wrappers of like the judge pack stuff? Is that like a frowned upon thing or like people look at that like it's stupid? Because like for me, I just want to make a background where I have them in like a sealed case where I have one of every artwork. So like one of the things I'm working on now is taking every.
Aren't they papers?
I think they're paper, so they get ripped pretty easy.
Yeah.
But like taking one of every sealed pack, right? And I want to make a frame that's like that's my bright lights one, and then I have one for each various sets. Like this is part of my master set of like one of each style thing. Um,
Yeah.
and you build that out, but I don't have the judge packs, and I also don't have history pack. I don't have an alpha. I have an empty alpha wrapper that I got from somebody who was throwing it away at one of the events that was opening it. I was like, "What are you doing with that?" And they're like, "Throwing it away." I'm like, "Can I have it?" They're like, "Sure." And I'm like, "Yes!" So I got one of those cheesy sleazy. I did at one point. Somebody was selling an empty WTR Alpha box on eBay. I bought that, so I have
Oh,
one of
nice.
those. I don't have an Arcane Rising first edition box. I do have a Crucible of War first edition I got from my LGS right at the tail end when they were having it, and I bought it and had like 6 packs left in it. So I still have like four and a half. I think it's like 4 packs because I opened 2 of them or whatever. So I have it has like the price sticker on the box, and I have it in a little case. I was like, this is cool. So, I'd like to have those, but I don't think I'm gonna reasonably own the official sealed version. So that's why I'm looking for like the sleazy
Pack
collection.
wrapper collection. I back that. I don't think it's too bad. I mean, especially if people are buying loose booster pack wrappers or just loose booster packs, they should know that those incur a substantial risk. So, yeah, I'm with you. I have a box of WTR Alpha wrappers over here. Um, Definitely a big wrapper fan.
I have
Because you wonder. Same with the Magic the Gathering, like, it's been out for so many years. It like, the wrappers even are very scarce, like, there you go. Is that a beta?
Oh God, no! If it was a beta, I wouldn't own it anymore. I'd sell it. This
Oh,
is a
revised?
revised, but somebody put the price sticker. I paid what 175 for this.
Oh my god.
I don't know how long ago, but uh, I was told through the grapevine that it was not searched and that it came from a reliable source at an LGS. But when I went to go show somebody the pack, they're like, "You see those little indentions right here? It probably means that somebody took a bright light and used their finger and shook the pack." And it's like, I'm never going to open it, so like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
also probably
yeah.
never ever going to resell it, so I don't care that much. But to the connoisseur, right? Apparently, it means that there is risk with the pack, and it's like, okay, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Well, I mean, now with the
The
Pokemon
X-ray machine,
UV X-ray
baby. CT
machine,
scan. Sorry, that's what it is.
yeah, nothing is safe. I mean,
I
that and your gold foil pack you could send over to them.
I
That
never
was a
thought
hot
about that.
thing.
That would make a hilarious video.
It would.
That would.
I mean, it's interesting how people were so surprised about. I mean, it is surprising, but it
The
didn't really change
technology's been
much.
there for years.
Yeah, all the content creators made their, $50, $100 ad revenue talking about it. And life moves on as it does.
All right. Well, what else? What else do you want to chat about, or start wrapping things up with this? I know that we're probably. I can keep going talking, but I feel like I need to get ready for this convention and probably go at least spend a little bit of time with the better half this evening.
Absolutely, man. Not too much, man. I think we got through a really good amount of stuff in a short period of time, I have to say. No, it was great talking to you. Um, I know that we've wanted to set this up for a while, and my schedule's been crazy, so I appreciate it's taken time for that. But no, I think that the podcast you're doing is really cool, and I think one thing you had back in the day is you had a lot more of the podcast where people were talking to each other, the content creators, and I hope to see more of that. Like just even new content creators, anyone out there, just reaching out to other content creators, talking, just getting a better feel of the game. It really is good like community vibes in a way. It's really cool to see. I wish I could do it more. I just had no time,
it,
but
it's
to the people who do, like, please reach out to this man, Jacob. He'd love to talk to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got some upcoming folks that I've been reaching out, chatting with, some from over the pond. So
yeah.
I got some of those folks that I'm trying to get in touch with. There's a couple here in the U.S. I actually don't know how to get in touch with. It's surprising some of them how I can't find a way to contact certain content creators.
Are you talking about Dragon Folk? No, 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 not Dragon Folk. The Goblin people.
Goblin Reserve.
Yeah.
No, I think I have a way to get in touch with them because they're on Twitter. But like Dice Commando, for some reason, I've had such a hard time trying to figure out even a
Oh, Andrew.
possible. Yeah, like I don't
He's
have a.
on Discord.
Oh, see, I just don't. Maybe I don't have his info, but it's like I would love to if he's willing to like have a chat with him at some point, just because I feel like I jive really well with him. But
Hey, he's a really nice guy. I met him at Worlds. He's a really cool guy.
Alex has been cool. I've gotten to chat with him quite a bit. He's got some pretty interesting initiatives from some not rebranding, but basically like he's talking about it. But Clash is getting a Brawl version, which is a kind of an upcoming expanded version of Clash. So
Ooh.
I think there's some pretty interesting community formats. PB, I'm staring at the Teclo Crow stuff across the table from here. I'd love to get some people together to play that. Just all sorts of cool stuff. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing it all, man. And
I
yeah,
am sad that Sloop Dude did opt to end his Chadcast. But after starting to look at
I agree.
the logistics behind how to schedule all this and lining stuff up and ensuring you have one once a week, it does get very complicated.
It gets very grindy. Yeah, just people have you have to align with each person's schedule. And like when we before we did it this tonight, I was like, I can only do Wednesday. I can only do 9 p.m. Like take it or leave it. Damn it. But I didn't say it like that.
No,
But
you're good. But
in
and
fact, you'll have other people who
that's
have
why
like
we're doing it
way
tonight. Is I'm in the beauty of the studio versus like I was going to be like at a Airbnb down in Kentucky where I God knows what kind of internet I'd have down there, and I'd be like, it's like oh crap. So Yep, I wasn't going to try to do that one, but I am going to film quite a bit of content when I'm down at this. It's called PopCon, and actually, it's this.
Oh, nice.
It's
Oh,
that.
that's legit. Yeah, you'll have to
So
let me know how it is.
I
But Jacob, I don't want to take any more of your time tonight. I appreciate you having me on.
you're good.
Uh,
So,
and we'll definitely talk soon, man.
absolutely. So again, until next time, this has been Geek Speak episode number 10 with Bronson, and thank you very much. So, bye. Yeah, I'll trim out the end. So, woot.
Cut it off. Yeah.
I have to go over there to
Yeah.
hit the physical stop button on the record, so I can't do it from here.
Oh, you're good. Good chat, man. That was a good one. We hit a lot of stuff.
Rapid fire.